V V T T T V V T Q V
Text videos. Text videos.
Featuring Dr. Liz Stuart. Featuring Dr. Marie Diener-West. Featuring Dr. Beth Resnick.
Welcome to this short discussion on what we are hearing from students about their experiences in fall 2020. I'm Liz Stuart, Associate Dean for Education, and I'm here with two faculty who really have their ear to the ground in terms of hearing from students. Marie Diener-West, Chair of the MPH program and Professor of Biostatistics, and Beth Resnick, Assistant Dean for Public Health Practice, Director of the MSPH program in Health Policy, and Senior Scientist in Health Policy and Management. Both of them have insights from their work with students this fall, including focus groups and coordinating other opportunities for student engagement. Today, we're going to talk about what they've learned from those conversations and what lessons it holds for our instruction moving forward. Beth and Marie, thank you for joining me today. So let's turn to our first question. What are some of the things you've heard from students that they've really enjoyed about our Virtual Plus campus? I know one thing we heard in an early survey of students was that they really appreciated the extra flexibility that many faculty were giving, especially given the work and family demands many of our students are facing while studying full-time from home. Marie, what have you heard?
Thanks, Liz. Yes, students have really appreciated the compassion that faculty, students, and staff have shown them during this time, and especially appreciated faculty's flexibility on course deadlines due to these extenuating family and work circumstances. And I know that students have also appreciated the school's introduction of the pass-fail policy for core courses for all degree programs.
Great, thank you. And Beth, what about you?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Liz. Great to be here with you and Marie talking about such an important topic. I definitely agree with all of the points you guys have made about flexibility and recognition of mental health and self-care of our students as a priority. I also just wanted to highlight that students and faculty, myself included, have really enjoyed the richness of the educational experience when you have both full and part-time students together from across the whole world coming together to build a learning community.
I think that's a great point. I think there's actually much that we're learning and doing now that we hope will continue even once the pandemic resolves. So let's now turn to some of the things you've heard from students that maybe haven't gone quite as well. One challenge I've heard from students is when there's a disconnect between their expectations for how much synchronous time is required, or for situations where they might be required to attend a lecture at a particular time, but it's just didactic material presented without any student-faculty interaction. This can be a real challenge for students in other time zones who might need to wake up in the middle of the night to attend a lecture that they feel they might have otherwise just watched, at a later time. So what are some challenges you've heard about? Beth, maybe we'll start with you this time.
Sure. Good points, Liz. And I think it's really important to highlight this for faculty. I think a key frustration for students has been unclear expectations. And, this is an ongoing issue, but I guess it's heightened at a time when we're already filled with so many uncertainties for all of us. Questions like, when's lockdown going to end? What's going to happen if I get sick or someone in my family? Things that we've all been facing these last months. When am I going to be able to resume in-person courses? Can I move back to Baltimore? So all of these things. And academic success is one area where I think students really want to be in control of right now during such tumult and uncertainty in the rest of their lives. So being in control of their academic success can be really challenging in an online environment, especially if they were expecting to be in person and they can't check in with the faculty to sort of confirm what's expected of them. So we did see frustrations, as you noted, about online synchronous sessions as well as other expectations. Where can I find the information? What's required? What's optional? Is the session recorded? Can I listen to it? Am I going to get full credit? So I think being as clear as possible in our expectations, what's due when, and when they have to be online and when it's optional, again, these are things we need to do all the time, but particularly now, I think it's heightened given the uncertainty that we're all facing across so many aspects of our life.
Thanks. Those are such good points. And I will say that as a parent of a seventh grader, our biggest frustration this fall was in a case where just she was not hearing from her teacher. And it was incredibly frustrating to have her working so hard and submitting something and having a technical glitch, and then 2 weeks of just silence. So I've certainly been on that side of things. And I can imagine our students would be similarly frustrated if they feel like they're not getting sort of those answers and that information from faculty. So Marie, what about you? Have you heard other frustrations that come across from students?
So thanks, Liz. I also agree with Beth regarding students and their desires for course expectations. But I think that most of our students also enter their programs with the expectation that they'll benefit by networking with their fellow students, as well as getting to know their faculty members. So although I believe that most of our faculty do not require students to attend synchronous lectures or live talks, I think that our students, rightfully so, do not wish to miss out on any possible interactions and have changed their time clocks accordingly. So some students who are living in Southeast Asia are actually going to sleep at times that they would have been going to bed during previous times. So students are finding the same challenges in working with groups in real time as well.
Thanks, Marie. Those two are really good points. I think it is a challenge. How do we make sure that we retain the informal interactions and connections that happen sort of outside maybe formal lectures and things like that? How can we really enhance those for our students in this virtual world where we are sort of spread all around the world in all sorts of time zones? So yeah, I've certainly heard those messages too. So now let's turn to some solutions. I would be curious, both of you talk to a lot of other faculty, you have a lot of experience with courses. So I'm wondering about creative solutions to address any of these challenges. Marie, maybe we can start with you this time.
Great, thanks, Liz. So I think we can start with that time zone issue again, because there have been some creative ways to address that. And what we have heard from domestic students as well, students living in the US with no trouble with time zones, is that they really want to be in sessions with their international colleagues. So some faculty have been offering course sessions that may be at 8 a.m. or even earlier, or after 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this allows international students to participate more easily, especially in interactive sessions. I think that there are also flexibilities that faculty have taken in offering office hours at different times and in having TA office hours at flexible times during the week. And then there are asynchronous opportunities that faculty can take advantage of, posting on discussion forums so that students can do that at any time of the day, or using different Pathfinder simulations in Course Plus to help show or demonstrate a problem. And then we've heard just simple things like a faculty starting a Zoom session a little bit early or ending it a little bit late, just so it provides the opportunity for classroom chat. And then lastly, I think I would say that students appreciate anything that acknowledges that we're in this COVID-19 situation. And that can range from offering a lens in a course with COVID-19, or just recognizing that students are being impacted and having issues in different ways. So students have recognized that compassion and collaboration must be central in our virtual campus.
Thanks. Again, really important messages for everyone. Beth, what about you? What solutions have you seen?
So yeah, I think Marie made some great points, and I really want to highlight the last point she was making about compassion and collaboration. I think bottom line, that students know you care about them is really important, particularly always, but particularly now. So just taking a few minutes at the beginning of class, asking how everyone is doing, and sending out emails about checking in on people and giving updates around the schedule, again, to help with expectations. It doesn't mean that it has to be any less rigorous. It's just about creating a more relaxed environment. Even sharing our own fears and uncertainties, I think, can again make things more human in this very scary and uncertain times. So strong communications, and again about expectations, having your Course Plus site well organized, and again, the people at CTL, there's also your TAs, can be really helpful about that, so that students can easily navigate that Course Plus site and understand where they can get the information and know what's due and when and what the expectations are. If you can give examples, again, not to necessarily give them all the answers, but again, when they can't check in and ask you questions, just having some samples, I think, helps reduce student anxiety a little bit. Also, clearly labeling which sessions. I know in one of my classes in the second term, we had a calendar and we clearly labeled the synchronous sessions. Some of them were required, but they could watch the recording if they wanted. And some were just more a check-in community building type session that was optional, that they were welcome to come to, but they didn't have to. And having those clearly labeled so people could plan ahead and understand. Flexibility, of course, we need detailed expectations and clarity, but again, flexibility, especially now, who knows if someone's going to have an emergency. One thing we shifted in my second term class was, rather than having the due date as is, we switched it and made it a rough draft so we could give them additional feedback. Again, that was a smaller class size, so that might not work in some larger classes, but again, trying to think about what options you have to make things a little less stressful for students. Networking is important. Marie noted that, and I think students have shared that with us loud and clear. But sometimes, again, clear expectations can be helpful. So what is office hours going to be? I heard from some students, they got onto office hours, but they felt awkward because they didn't know they didn't really have any questions. They just wanted to connect. So structuring office hours, perhaps, saying we're going to go over this and then we'll have time for questions. So again, just being sort of more clear to students. Also, who's going to be at the office hours, because if it's going to be a faculty member, which one, or a TA, again, so students can kind of plan ahead. And because I know there could be frustration if they're up in the middle of the night and then it turns out it's not the faculty member they thought that they wanted to talk to. So again, being as clear as you can, I think is really important.
Wow, this has been so helpful. I really appreciate both of your insights, and I actually teach a third term course. And so this conversation has been helpful even for me as I start to think about what that is really going to look like starting in a few weeks. So I really hope that we can learn these lessons and, these sort of pieces of advice both during this pandemic, but then as we emerge into whatever new normal we do emerge into. So thank you again, both for all of your work with our students and then also for sharing your insights with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to third term.